He's the multi-family unit apartment king. I think he's going to brand
Oh,
himself that. Because everybody who need to learn or know anything about it, Rod is the man to go to. And so, Rod,
well, thank you. Thank you.
take it
All right,
away.
enough. I can't take it. Enough. All right. So, so welcome, guys. I'll give you a little brief background on me. Now, I will tell you, let me pre-frame this. There's no way I can teach you multifamily in an hour. I'll give you guys a phenomenal deal if you want to come to my virtual boot camp next weekend. But I actually want to spend a little more time on mindset. So we met through Tony Robbins. I spent 20 years, 22 years with Tony. I was on his team for 8 years. And 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the vehicle, be it multifamily, be it, residential real estate, be it buying businesses, be it EXP, whatever, that's just the vehicle. It's the mindset and the psychology that takes you through. So I want to spend the bulk of my time juicing you, okay? And if you give me your attention, I think you'll end up this call juiced, and and that's what I'm known for. Like I said, so my name is Rod Khleif. I'm a Dutch immigrant. I'm, wooden shoes and windmills. I immigrated when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother Svancha. We ended up in Denver, Colorado, and we didn't have much growing up. I remember literally we shopped at an expired food store. Believe it or not, they had it back then. I had powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. And trust me, it sounds better than it is. And, I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I finally lied about my age when I was 14 because I was tall, told them I was 15, and got a job at Burger King flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes. And I know some of you may have had it harder than I did, but I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. We always had a house full of kids. And with her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. She invested in the stock market successfully. She also invested in real estate. Now, her first real estate acquisition was the house right across the street from us. She bought when I was about 14 for 30 grand. And when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep. And this is back when 20,000 was a lot of money. And I'm like, what? You made 20 grand, you didn't do anything? Screw college, I'm getting into real estate. So I went out and I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. You didn't have to have experience back then. You could be a broker with education. Now they got smart. You need a little experience before you can run your own office. But I was smart enough to work for a broker, but I was actually a broker right when I turned 18. And so I'm going to be rich in real estate, right? Well, my first year in real estate, I made about 8 grand. I was still living at home. Second year, maybe 10 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? And it's what I was just talking about. It's mindset. It's psychology. I met a guy that taught me about that, before I met Tony Robbins. And so fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long term. I own thousands of apartment units now. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. Okay. And you might say, wow. And I said, wow. And I thought I was a freaking real estate god. I could barely fit my head through a door. And when that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smackdown. Well, that was 2008. I lost everything in 2008. I lost $50 million conservatively in 2008. And so what I'm known for talking about is the mindset it took that 50 million to lose in the first place, and really the mindset it took to get it back, which is probably just as important. And so, I know you're here to learn about multifamily. Again, I've got a 2-day virtual boot camp coming up next weekend. You guys can come for less than $100. I don't sell anything there, so it's kind of a no-brainer. If you're serious about learning this business, get your butt to my boot camp next weekend. But I think what I want to share with you now is more important, okay? And that is that mindset, the strategies that I utilized to have that amount of money to begin with, and the mindset I used to get it back after I lost it all. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to share those strategies with you. And at the end, we'll have some time, and we can, if you want to ask me some questions about multifamily, I'll give you kind of a framework. But really, even 2 days is a lot. Next weekend, like I said, it's virtual. I don't sell anything, and we go through every aspect of the business, from picking a market to evaluating the market to picking a deal, how to find those deals, lots of ways, how to underwrite those deals, how to finance them, how to raise all the money you need for them, how to syndicate them, how to joint venture, all of these things we go through in great detail. But anyway. Let's talk about what it takes to actually take action with this stuff, okay? Do I have your permission to do that? Is that good? Is that all right? All right, thumbs up. All right, so I will tell you, it starts with creating hunger. Now, if you decide to attend my boot camp, the first thing we do is goal setting on steroids. Because how do you get anything if you don't know what the hell it is? You've got to create what Napoleon Hill in his book Think and Grow Rich says, a burning desire. You got to want it, because that's how you push through fear. That's how you push through limiting beliefs. That's how you get uncomfortable. We all know the comfort zone is a nice warm place. And we also know nothing freaking grows there, right? So you got to want it. And when you've got that burning desire, when you get knocked down, you get back up. Because are you going to have setbacks? Yeah. Are you going to get your butt kicked and your nose blooded? Yes. If you do anything in life, you're going to have those things happen. And that burning desires is how you push through. You see, if you've got average ability, average IQ, average finances, average, education, but you have a burning desire, success is inevitable, period. I will find this in my coaching students. I've got, I don't know, almost 2,000 coaching students around the country. They now own 250,000 units under my tutelage. In fact, I'll just show you something. There's some of the thank you cards. I have hundreds. The whole wall behind me is covered with thank you cards from students whose lives have been impacted by my work. It's something I'm very, very proud of. But it's because it's the mindset. They actually take action, okay? And here's the thing. When you find what you love, and you find your purpose in life, and maybe it's not multifamily or real estate or whatever. I guess it is if you guys are on this call. But when you're doing what you love, work is play, right? And when you want that success as badly as you want to breathe, it's inevitable. Okay. So again, it starts with knowing what it is you want. Here's the sad reality. People spend more time planning a freaking Christmas party than they do designing their lives. So if you can't make my boot camp, write this link down. It's my link tree. Write this down. It's rodslinks.com. Okay, that's my link tree. At the bottom of that is my goal setting workshop. Okay. If you don't want to come to boot camp, fine. It's free. I'm not going to try to sell you anything if you do the goal setting thing. And here's the thing. If you've got a spouse, sit down and do it with them. If you've got a child that's over 10 years old, sit down and do it with them. That's designing their freaking life. Okay. And again, that's at Rod's Links. My podcast link is there. By the way, I host, and this is not ego, please know that, I host the largest real estate podcast in the world for commercial real estate, by far, eclipses everybody else. And it's because of the mindset.
They're really good. They really
Thank
good
you.
program.
Thank you.
I do.
So it's because of the mindset. People don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And every week I do a clip called Own Your Power about mindset. But anyway, so do the goal setting. You've got to. And I'm sure most of you already have done it, but do it again. It's something you do 2 or 3 times a year because your goals evolve. When I first did my goals, I thought I needed to have a Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce and, freaking watch collection, stupid shit. But, it evolves over time, right? And so you got to do your goals regularly. All right. The next piece is you got to make a decision. And you see, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off, okay? It's not dipping your toe in the water. It's not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You make a decision, it is freaking done, okay? And like I said, the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. So if you're going to attack the island in battle, you burn your ships because you're taking their damn ships home, okay? That's a decision. I mean, it's done, okay? It's all in. And then once you've made that decision, you're 100% committed, okay? And there's a big difference between being interested and being committed, right? If you're interested, you're going to get knocked off track. When you're committed, you're like a freaking train on a track, okay? So you've got to make the decision and you've got to get and be committed and go do it. And sometimes that little decision can be the biggest decision of your life. It could be getting into multifamily real estate. It could be getting into some other side hustle to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming, because they're coming. I'm just telling you right now, especially in the multifamily space, a lot of distress, a lot of people in trouble, and there's going to be some incredible opportunities. So, but you got to get up to speed. You got to get up to speed quickly. All right. Then the next piece is you got to take the first step. Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu, thousands of years ago, said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And for those of you that are analytical, and I know who you are, and you know who you are, and I love you, and you're very successful in the multifamily business, by the way, because it's primarily empirical. It's primarily numbers. But you also know how you have to check off every box before you make a move. Well, you can't do that here. You can't see the whole journey in this business, and a lot of businesses. You've got to realize, I'll give you an analogy for this. You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlights only seeing 50 feet in front of you. You'll make it. You know other people have made it before you. You might have some obstacles, but you know it can be done. It's the same way with the multifamily business. It's the same way with any business that you get into, but you got to take that first step, right? You know, I see it with my students. I call it the law of the first deal. You know, they're complaining it's 4 months in, 6 months in, they haven't got a deal. And then they get one. Next thing you know, they have three. I'm like, what the hell just happened? They recognize that it's all right here between their ears, and like I said, but they got it. You got to make that move. You got to make those offers. You see, this life is not a dress rehearsal, and I'm really speaking to those of you that have a hard time making a decision. You know, don't fear failure. We're going to talk about failure in a minute. You know, like that. I call them seminars, by the way. That was a $50 million seminar. It was a damn expensive seminar, but that was a seminar, because it's only a failure if you don't get back up or you don't get the lessons, right? But what you want to fear is regret. There was this nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse, that took care of patients when they were about to die, okay? And she asked him a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? She even wrote a book about it. It's a bestseller, something like The 5 Regrets of Dying. Her name was Bronnie Ware. You know what the number one regret was? Not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. Fear that. That to me sounds like a horror show to me, okay? All right. The next piece is you've got to stay positive. It's so easy in life to focus on the negative, okay? And it's so easy to focus on pain and struggle. Most people focus on what they don't want, right? And candidly, what you focus on and what you expect is what you're going to get. You know, if you expect to win, you're going to win. And if you expect to lose, you're going to lose, right? You know, but here's the thing. When you decide what you want and you declare it to your friends, to yourself, God or the universe, whatever you believe will conspire to help you get it, okay? You expect amazing things, you're going to get amazing things. The other thing I will tell you is stand guard at the door to your mind, okay? There's so many people out there that can hold you back out of their own fear and limiting beliefs. And I want to talk about peer group in a minute here. But the other thing is, you know, and that's when I'll drill down on that a little more. But the other thing I want to tell you is you choose the meaning on what happens to you. You know, like I call that failure a seminar. And I will tell you, I've built 29 businesses so far in my career. I'm what you call a serial entrepreneur. Several worth tens of millions of dollars. I have 3 right now that are. Most, however, were spectacular, flaming seminars, okay? Because we actually fail our way to success. So anyway, let's talk about fear and limiting beliefs. You know, so what is fear? F everything and run. That's what most people think it is. You know, I like to think it's also a false evidence appearing real, because normally it is. And I also think it should stand for face everything and rise, because when you take action in the midst of fear, it mitigates the fear. You know, I will tell you, you know, I immigrated when I was 6 years old, didn't speak English. Got thrown into school, found out what bullies were for the first time. So I got my butt kicked occasionally, hadn't learned how to fight back. And then my mom thought it'd be a great idea. It's a shame I didn't bring him from the other building, to send me to school in these wooden shoes. I have the actual wooden shoes that she sent me to school in, and these leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. You know, those lederhosen. So I got my ass kicked again. You know, and you know, and then I had this thing happened on the playground where I had this crush on this girl, and she came up to me with a bunch of kids and embarrassed me in front of all these kids. And, you know, I came up with this limiting belief that I wasn't good enough, you know, and I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough, right? Which of course presupposed that I wasn't. Now, see, a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. Another one of mine was I'm not analytical enough. You know, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. But here's the thing you need to remember. There's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS, okay? But we believe they're real. And so, you know, I used to be afraid to raise my hand in front of 10 kids in a classroom, and I always speak in front of 1,000 people in my freaking shorts and flip-flops, okay? You know, because I worked through those limiting BS belief systems, recognizing, and that's the thing, that's the operative thing. If you know that you have one of those, consciously aware, sometimes you're not aware of them, but if you're aware of it, drag it out into the daylight when it pops up consciously. Don't push past it. Drag it out into the daylight. Look at it with your adult rational mind. Recognize that it's BS, and it will eventually go away. It's going to take a little time. Like I said, for me, it took several years. You know, years with Tony, years just thinking, looking in the mirror, focusing on myself. But you've got to do it, okay? Because they will hold you back, and it'll be a completely different life if you push through them. Next thing I want to talk about is focus. focus is power. Okay. Focus, where focus goes, energy flows. I touched on it a minute ago. And again, whatever you focus on gets larger, both positive or negative. I have people that call me and say, I need to get out of my student loan debt. And I'm like, wrong statement. How do you make so much freaking money that debt is irrelevant is the right statement. Okay. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. You get it. Okay. And so, it's really, really important that you focus on what you want. And it's very easy to dilute your focus. I told you about all these businesses that I owned. I remember at one time in Denver, I had 2 frozen yogurt shops. I had vending carts selling ice cream bars down on the 16th Street Mall in Denver. I had carpet cleaning business. I was doing real estate, and everything suffered because my focus was diluted. Okay. It's important that you minimize your distractions. It's important that you maintain your focus. And this is not ego. My podcast is probably about 25, 26 million downloads, which for a podcast is not bad, especially a niche podcast. It's the largest for what I do. But, I listen to 2 podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to Tim Ferriss. I try to get both sides of the aisle. And I will tell you, I'm definitely not on this side, but I thank God. But anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, I like Tim Ferriss's show, who is on this side, because he interviews the best of the best in the world. Okay. Like the best athletes, Michael Phelps, NFL players, NBA players, actors like Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, Jamie Foxx, billionaires like Ray Dalio, heads of the biggest companies in the world like Zuckerberg, and he deconstructs their success. It's incredibly intelligent, thought-provoking conversation. But I started to hear a pattern. These people almost all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus, right? The most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus. And here's the problem. I don't know about you, but I'll be sitting there watching freaking Netflix and I'm scrolling through social media. That kills your focus because your brain is making these micro decisions that are killing your focus. So think about focus. It's very, very important. Okay. And the reason I brought up those 2 podcasts is they get like 24 million downloads a week. Okay. I get excited about my measly one, but and they're great shows, by the way. I highly recommend both of them. The next piece is playing to your strengths. Okay. Especially in the multifamily game. In the multifamily business, you're going to find there's multiple hats you can wear. Okay. You can be the person finding the deals, which would be great for anybody at, in the EXP environment. You're already in tune with brokers, finding the deals and evaluating them. If you're super analytical, you could be the underwriter that underwrites these things. And by the way, if you come to my boot camp, you're going to get the software to do that. It's included in the $97. You get my deal evaluator software and you get my document library, which has all the documents you'd ever need for the business. Hell, those 2 things alone are worth thousands of dollars. But anyway, you could be the person finding the deals, evaluating the deals. Maybe you're the one that manages after the fact because, just because you give it to a property management company, which is what you typically do, a third-party property management company, you still got to asset manage. You still got to talk to them once a week and make sure you got to manage the managers, if that makes sense. So it's called asset management. Or maybe, you've got some construction experience or previous management experience. So you're great for that. But I will tell you, there are 2 personality types that do really well together in my business, in the multifamily business. The outgoing person, which is probably most of the people on this call, if you're in sales for real estate, because there's relationship building with sellers, with brokers, with potential investors. Because by the way, you don't need your own money to do this business. My students have raised hundreds of millions of dollars from investors. There's a lot of money looking for homes, and I teach you how to raise that money for your deals, okay, at the event. But the point is that there's a lot of different personalities, but you got to play to your strengths, okay? And your strengths are your greatest asset. Don't try to build your weaknesses. You want to hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses, but you play to your strengths and you're going to get success much, much faster, okay? And you'll be happier because you're having fun. You're in this quan, like Jerry Maguire called it, that you're in the zone, you're enjoying yourself, and you never work another freaking day in your life. If you're, for me, this is play. I mean, I love this stuff. I love doing what I'm doing here. So, I'm not working, I'm enjoying myself. Now, the other piece of that is when you're doing what you love, you're passionate. Okay. And maybe you can feel my passion. I love this stuff. And when you're passionate, you're able to influence people. Okay. And in life and in business, it's all about influence. I mean, when people can tell you love what you do, they want to be around you. So and you're, because you're passionate and you're operating from that passion. And I will tell you that passion equals success. Okay. It's the fuel, right? It's the fuel to go kick ass and make this happen. And, and so don't settle, don't play small. Don't have any regret. Don't do what you think your parents want you to do or someone else wants you to do. Figure out what juices you, inspires you, and go do that. That passion breeds creativity, breeds innovation, and it minimizes or greatly eliminates fear. Okay. So anyway, passion. Now let's talk about your peer group. I mean, you got a kick-ass peer group right here, right now, okay? Because you guys know the adage, who you hang out with is who you become. You show me your 3 best friends, and I will show you your life, your happiness, your health, and your finances. Guaranteed, because you are who you hang out with, okay? And that's both professionally and personally. Now, here's the problem. Most people default to a peer group that they went to school with or that they work with outside of, this environment. And sometimes those people have their own limiting beliefs and their own fears, and they will hold you back, maybe because they're afraid of losing you, maybe because they're afraid of feeling less than because you succeeded. And sometimes it's family. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, love your family, but choose who you allow to influence you. Okay. And we talk about this at my boot camp as well. And especially like if you decide you want to get into this business and you've got a spouse that's like, oh, good Lord, good luck with that. We teach you how to work through stuff like that because your home environment is super critical for success in anything, right? It really is. But you want to get around people that want more out of life. I told you my warriors, my coaching students, they own 250,000 units. And the 7 years I've been teaching, it's my proudest accomplishment. And almost all those deals are done between warriors, between those students, because they lift each other up, they validate each other, they praise each other. So you want to be around people like that, like in this group that push each other up, because rising tide lifts all ships. If you want to play tennis, do you want to play somebody better than you or worse than you? You know the answer. It's the same way with anything you do in life, but you got to get around people that want more, that aren't afraid of dreams, that aren't afraid of your goals, that'll hold you accountable, that'll validate you. Frankly, you want to be around people that think what you think is hard is easy. That's when you're going to level up in a big way. So, all right. The next piece, well, obviously you don't want to give up. You got to have tenacity and grit, but let's talk about failure. Let's talk about problems. Are you going to have problems as you're going through life? Are you going to have stuff pop up and bloody your nose? I promise you. In fact, it's one of the questions we ask. I have 3 panels each day on my boot camp, of successful warriors, successful students. There's probably 3 or 4 billion represented by the panelists I'm going to have next weekend. But, that's one of the questions I try to ask on every panel. Talk about when you got your ass kicked. Talk about when you got your nose bloody, because you learn from that, right? You think I learned from losing $50 million in 2008 and 9? You better freaking believe it, right? Here's the thing. It's only a failure if you give up or you don't get the lesson. We fail our way to success. And I'm going to tell you, problems are a gift. Problems give you feedback. The only people that don't have problems, candidly, are 6 feet underground. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, Sarah Blakely. You women all know what that is. Men, it's the women's undergarments that hold everything together. In fact, most of us men need it too. But anyway, she started with $5,000 and she's a freaking billionaire. By the way, she's a beautiful human being as well. Beautiful human being. But I met her at a mastermind that I was at. And she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, what have you failed at this week? Is that an awesome freaking question to ask your kids, to not fear failure? I love that. I absolutely love that. So here's the thing. Setbacks, shakeups are wake-ups, okay? If you don't have problems, candidly, respectfully, you're not trying, okay? Problems are learning opportunities. If you come to one of my boot camps, you'll get a survey on Monday, okay? It's Saturday and Sunday. You get a survey on Monday asking you what you thought. And I don't think I've ever had a complaint other than the breaks are too short. They're 15-minute breaks and every couple of hours, because I'm literally reduced a 3-day to a 2-day. And trust me, they're harder on me than you, because I got to eat and pee and everything else in those TMI in those 15 minutes. But the point is, that's the only complaint we ever get. The breaks are too short. But here's the thing. I'm looking for critical feedback. Okay. Of course, 99% of the feedback is, oh my God, you juiced me out of my, and by the way, you come to the boot camp, you will leave ready to conquer the world. Okay. Because I spend a lot of time on mindset as well, because that's 90% of it. Like I said, there's a reason my students are so freaking successful. They actually take action. But, but the point here is, I'm looking for critical feedback. I'm looking for ways to improve. Tony Robbins has this acronym called CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. In fact, I just literally had a call with my team this morning about how to improve my coaching program. We're going to increase the number of weekly coaching calls. We're going to do some other things to improve it, because we survey our people and we want to know how we do things better. I will tell you, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're plateaued, you're dying. You're going down. Okay. You need to be consistently be growing and that. So I've only got a couple more topics, and then I'm happy to talk about multifamily. I know that's why you guys are here, but trust me, this stuff I'm giving you right now is way more important. Okay. Then the second to the last piece I want to talk about is gratitude. Okay. Gratitude is how you get everything you want in your life. Okay. It's the most important. And now please don't tune out on this. This is probably the most important topic I'm talking about. It's how you manifest what you want in life. Okay. It strengthens our immune system. It makes our heartbeat stronger. It lowers our blood pressure. It brings us closer to our spirituality. Again, it's how you attract everything you want in life. And I'll give you an example of this. This is my planner. Okay. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. I use a paper planner. I know. Don't give me shit. All right. But in the back of this thing are pictures that I've had in here for 25 years. First pictures of my kids. These are my gratitude pictures. Okay. These are my kids when they were young. My kids are 34. My daughter turned 34 the day before yesterday. My son is 29. But this is gratitude. And you can see how nasty and dirty it is, but this is my gratitude pictures. Then this ties into goal setting. Okay. The next are pictures of things that I want. If you saw, I haven't talked about it yet, but this was a house I built on the beach. Okay. And this looks just like the view from that beach. I had travertine floors. I had 10-foot high glass like that, 80 feet of glass. This bottom picture, okay, see those walls? See those walls in that picture? See those white walls? That's my backyard. Do you notice anything back behind me? Is that freaking crazy? Okay. I mean, this stuff works, guys, and then stupid shit like watches. I probably got $1.5 million worth of watches. Just dumb, but it makes me happy. I had a Lamborghini. I did that. I thought that was important. Rolls Royce, Bentley, all this stupid shit that I got because I had pictures. So once you do your goals, if you do them with me, I will have you write down why they're an absolute must, because it's the why that's the driver, and I'll guide you through it. I hope you'll take me up on that. It's free. It's on my link tree, rodslinks.com. And by the way, but don't sign up for my boot camp there, because it's like $300 or $400 there. I'm going to give you a code where you can, well, I'll just tell you right now. If you decide to come to my boot camp, use the code Kim. And you come for $97. When you check out, use the code Kim, $97, but you also get the deal evaluator software, which is really the best in the industry. And you get my document library, which I spent tens of thousands of dollars on. So I hope you'll come. But the website is rodsbootcamp.com. Use that one, rodsbootcamp.com, if you want to write that down, or if you go to my link tree, it's there as well, rodslinks.com. And there's a bunch of free resources there too. But the reason I bring that up again is do the goal setting. Even if you don't come to the boot camp, for God's sakes, design your life. Don't let the winds of change blow you around. Have an outcome in mind. And here's a success strategy for you. If you know what it is you want, and you've got that outcome in mind, and you hit a wall, you reassociate with what you want and you change your approach. That's the secret to success. When that doesn't work, you change your approach. You keep your eye on the goal, you change your approach again. When that doesn't work, you keep your eye on the goal and you change your approach again. The line to goals is never a straight line. But if you use that framework where you focus on what it is you want. And I got to tell you guys, it's a very real possibility we're going to see some financial distress in this country, even with Trump. I'm not sure he can turn things around immediately. And there will be a lot of fear if that happens. Okay. And so, but if you know what it is you want and you're focused on that, you will come up with ways to make it happen. Okay. By the way, just writing down your goals triggers something in your brain called your reticular activating system. Okay. That is a subconscious filter in your brain that points you in the direction of what your brain thinks you're interested in. Okay. And the greatest example of it is when you first buy a car. You never really notice them. And then you buy the car and they're everywhere. Were they there before? Of course they were, but that's your reticular activating system. That's why goals are so freaking important. All right, so gratitude. Gratitude is how you get what you want in your life. What I do most mornings, I will sit in this recliner behind me. You can see it there with my blankets on it, okay? And I will just do gratitude. I'll just be grateful for the people that I love. I'll be grateful for my students, my foundation, and my life in general. I'll just do gratitude. But then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. And that's a secret, guys, with emotion. And sometimes I will get emotional being grateful for things I really don't have in my possession yet, okay? And I know some of you are like, oh, Jesus, foo-foo land. Well, this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. So ignore it at your peril, okay? Because it freaking works. Gratitude for the things you want as if you already have them. And I have vision boards. You saw my planner here. I've got vision boards as well because I have a hard time visualizing sometimes. All right, the last piece before we get into multifamily. So I talked about that house that I showed you pictures of that I built on the beach. And I was 18. I knew I wanted to live on the beach. And I lived in Denver. There's no freaking beach in Denver. But I would visualize the palm trees and the sand and the surf and 20 years later, I built this what's now a $25 million mansion on the beach, 10,000 square feet. I mean, this place is magnificent. Giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. I had the beach on one side. It was a Gulf to Bay. I had the beach on one side. On the back side was my boat lifts and my boat houses because it was a slice through an island. And which was unthinkable when I was 18. So again, when you do your goals, take the lid off your brain because there's nothing you can't do, be, or have. Okay. But that was unthinkable. But this house, again, magnificent, big spiral staircase up through the middle, wine cellar, elevator. On the second floor, I had aquariums, curved aquariums built around the staircase that cost me almost 200 grand. So this gives you an idea of the house. Well, 2 months after I moved in, I spent 20 years dreaming about and getting this. Okay. 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool at night. The pool's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. And I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which it was to prove to the damn world I was good enough. Okay. If that didn't do it, I mean, good Lord. Right. And I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I was like, holy crap, what is going on? I feel like crap right now. And I mean, my family was inside sleeping, a beautiful family. I had all the toys, the boats, the jet skis, the Maserati, the 2 Mercedes, you name it, had all the stuff, right? Well, what was going on was several things when I look back on it. Okay. Number one is it's never about the goals. You got to have the goals to create that burning desire, but you always got to have goals on top of. If you achieve a big goal, you better have other goals lined up behind it because you need a vision for the future. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish, right? You got to have a vision for the future. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was one piece. But the second piece was it's not about the goals. You become happy through progress and growth. Okay. And by the way, if you do my goal setting workshop at Rod's links and at the bottom, again, it's free. There's a guide you can download. The last 15 minutes is my weekly planning process. Don't sign off without going through that. That can change your life. It'll help you organize yourself. It's how I manage 2 very large companies at the same time. Okay. It's a weekly, and I do it at my boot camp as well. But anyway, and part of that process, part of that weekly process is to celebrate whatever you got done, okay? Even if it's just a little bit, okay? Because you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have delays. But if you're acknowledging consciously, and that's the operative word, consciously acknowledging your progress, you'll be happy because that's what makes you happy. But the big thing when I looked back on why I was depressed was I was totally focused on Rod. Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Blah, blah, blah. Show the world I matter, okay? And that's the year I went and saw Tony. That was the first year I went and saw Tony Robbins. And I found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I wish I'd had some pictures for you guys, but I went back and I called my brother in Denver because I was visiting him for Thanksgiving. I'm like, bro, let's feed 5 families. So he called his church, found 5 families that really needed help. And we went out and bought food and frozen turkeys and just had a blast buying the stuff. And the 3rd family changed my life. We go up to this house and there's this Hispanic woman in there with 5 kids. And it's like a shitty 1-bedroom. Like it was one of these row houses where you had to walk through the living room, through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which had the bathroom off it. So it wasn't even a good 1-bedroom. And she's in there with 5 kids. Anyway, she comes out on the porch and she sees all this stuff on the porch. We bought toys for the kids. So we knew she had kids. And she just starts crying. Her kids come out. 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying and I'm hooked. And please know what I'm sharing with you now is not ego. There's a big message in this, okay? In the last 26 years, I've now fed well over 150,000 children in my area, okay? I have provided tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We did 1,800 in August of last year, to local kids that don't have basic supplies for school. I've done thousands and thousands of teddy bears to local police departments for their officers to keep in their vehicles if they encounter a child that's been in a traumatic situation. Now, again, I'm not bragging here. I want to inspire you, okay? Because you might be saying, well, that's because you had the money. That's why you gave back. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You need to give back right now, okay? If you don't have money, give of your time. Find what juices you. For me, it's kids. And candidly, for me, it's also the elderly. I'm thinking about getting into assisted living. I was threatening to do it 10 years ago. I'm going to do it this time. But figure out what juices you. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's animals. Whatever it is, give right now. Okay, here's why. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. If you want to know how to buy apartment complexes, get your butt to my boot camp next weekend. No excuses. It's freaking $97. Tell me your excuse. And I don't sell anything there. So, you'll leave knowing how to find deals, evaluate them, finance them, raise all the money for them, syndicate them, joint venture, manage them, you name it, soup to nuts. So it's a science. I'll give you the blueprint. You just got to go do it. Okay. But fulfillment is an art. Okay. You got to find out what juices you and bring it into your life right now. Okay. And the success will come faster. That's the way God works. That's the way the universe works. Whatever you give, you get back 100-fold. I'm just telling you, if you don't believe it, try it. It freaking works and you'll be fulfilled. I interview mega millionaires on my podcast sometimes, and I can tell if they're like I was before I had that epiphany. I was 40 before I got that memo. Okay. That's when I was floating in the pool and went and saw Tony. I was 40. So 25 years ago. So I turned 65 2 days ago. So it's 25 years ago. And I feel sad for these guys when I see that they're still totally focused on themselves. And sometimes they can hide it really well because they're not fulfilled. Life is about being happy and fulfilled, guys. So give back right now. Don't wait. All right. Mic drop. Hopefully you guys got some value on that. But I'm happy to now talk about multifamily, take some questions. I've got probably about 15 minutes because I've got an interview at the top of the hour and I got to go set everything up in my studio. I've got a video studio here at my home. But happy to talk about multifamily. I like I said, there are incredible opportunities coming. If you have any interest at all, get your butt to my boot camp. I promise you'll be glad you came. And if you don't love it, on Monday, let me know and I'll give you your $97 back. It's the first time for everything. I've never happened before, but I don't mean like it. I mean freaking love it. And I promise you, you give me those 2 days, you will leave so juiced you'll be coming out of your skin because this is the energy I bring. And we spend a lot of time on mindset and do some things that really, will juice you. But happy to open it up some questions about multifamily. There are different types of multifamily you can invest in, and I go through all of that. There's residential multifamily, duplex, triplex, fourplex. So you guys know you can do FHA financing on, or even Fannie now, 5% down. But there's, I mostly focus on commercial multifamily, which is 5 units or higher. Why? Because you can drive the price, okay? You can drive the value, okay? Because the value is based on a multiple of the net income. I'll give you a great example of this. It's like with a duplex, triplex, fourplex, your value is going to be based on comps, right? You know that, comparable sales. And you can't dictate what other people sell their properties for, right? Well, in my world, in 5 units or higher, the value is based on the net income, which you can absolutely move. So I'll give you an example. I've got a 296 unit in San Antonio. And my property manager, when we took over the property, went and did a fire inspection because you got to make sure they have extinguishers and the smoke detector have batteries, stuff like that. She discovered there were about, some of you may get pissed about this because I get hate about this online, but we discovered that about 50 of them had pets, okay? And you can have a pet, and we love pets, but you're going to pay a little money for those pets, okay? So let me give you an example. So there were about 50, and the way it works is you take that amount, and so 50 times $25 a month is $1,250, and then you annualize it, okay, times 12. So that was $15,000 in net increase in revenue. But then you divide that, and at that time, that property was at a 4 cap, its capitalization rate. And I teach you about all this at the boot camp, but it was a 4 cap. You divide that by 0.04. That was a $375,000 increase in value for $25 times 50 pets, okay? I'll give you one more example. We decided we had a towing company for the towing contract, stripe the parking lot and number the parking spaces. And then we told the tenants, hey, if you want your own parking space in front of your unit, so you can just have your own reserved parking space, it's $25 a month. We had 100 people take it, okay? Let me do the math on that for you. Okay, so we had 100 times 25 times 12. Again, you annualize it. That's 30,000 divided by a 4 cap. That was a $750,000 increase in value for some freaking paint that we didn't even pay for. Okay. That's why we love this business, guys, because any increase to the income or decrease to the expenses goes right to the bottom line and raises the value. Okay. And that you cannot do that with residential multifamily. You can only do that with commercial. Okay. Here's the other thing. When you buy residential multifamily, they're looking at your income. They're looking at your debt to income. In my world, the larger properties, they're looking at the property's ability to service the debt. It's called the debt service coverage ratio. Now they've come up with these new DSCR loans now. That's a fairly recent thing, believe it or not, but for residential. But they never did it for residential before. But that is it's been around the commercial world forever, because they need to know if they got to take that property back, that property will service the debt. And that's the beautiful thing. So you don't have to have a ton of income. Now, you can't have foreclosures or bankruptcy if you're going to be on the loan. You can still put the deal together, but you're going to have to find someone else to sponsor the loan. And then we teach you how to do that. And we introduce you to tons of sponsors as well, because you're going to do your first deal with somebody else. That's how you do it. That's how everybody does it. They bring in somebody to help qualify, with some experience to qualify for the debt when you're talking millions of dollars in debt. And, but anyway, so there's a couple of things. Feel free to fire away with questions, guys. I didn't even look at the Q&A. Oh, shit. You got a bunch of stuff in the chat here.
Jamie has a question, Rod. So go ahead.
Okay, go ahead and unmute and ask, Jamie. Go ahead and ask.
Unmute.
Rod, thank you so much for everything so far.
Sure.
You clarified a little bit. I just listed a quadruplex and sold it and got under contract within 2 days for like $725. And I was shocked at the amount of interest in that, because to me right now it's generating, let's just say it's 5,000 or a little bit less than that. It's being rented for under market. Just being honest with you, they could get higher if they do turn it into Section 8. But I'm shocked at the amount of interest in it. And to me, I do like single family buy and holds. I have like 5 in an Airbnb. Those perform a lot better than any kind of a cash on cash. If you borrowed 20% to put down on it, I don't see how this is even a great investment for anybody. I'm grateful it's under contract.
What's a great investment? What's a great investment?
I'm not like the quadruplex. I don't understand why.
Well, maybe they're house hacking. Are they moving in? I mean, listen, what a great way to start your investing career is to buy a plex.
These are people these are just people. This is just an investor buying.
Oh, is this an investor?
$25,000 quadruplex.
Here's the thing.
Right now, if $5,000 a month.
Here's the thing. If the rents are below market, people want to get started. I will tell you, and it's that courage muscle, and people are like, should I start with a plex or should I start with a 10 unit? And my answer is yes. Okay. Bottom line is just freaking start. So maybe that's the dynamic, but here's the thing, guys. I mean, inflation is insane right now. And I don't know if you know this. In the last 4 years, 80% of the currency that's in circulation right now was created. Up to 2020, only 20% of the currency was in play. They've added another 80%. And we wonder why there's inflation. I'm single fairly recently, and I went to the grocery store and I'm like, 150 for that? Are you freaking kidding me? And the clerk, and I'm like, how do people afford that? Right? And I will tell you, but here's what I want to mention on that, Jamie, is what else goes up with inflation? Rents. And they're going to go up. And when you buy a place, even a fourplex like that, maybe they overpaid a little bit. As long as it's breaking even on cash flow. And that's the reason my name on my podcast is Lifetime Cash Flow, because it's all about cash flow. Okay. Don't tell me you can buy a place for $1 million that sold for $2 million 5 years ago. I don't care. What does the cash flow look like? That's the only thing you want to look at. In fact, I've got a #1 bestseller in 3 categories: how to create lifetime cash flow through multifamily properties. The reason I bring this up is the secondary title is the new rules of real estate investing, i.e. the new rules are focus on freaking cash flow. So what I'm saying to that, Jamie, is if that property cash flows at what they paid, their debt is fixed, and it's very likely, almost a sure thing, that rents are going to continue to go up here starting at the end of this year or 2026. And so they could come out smelling like a rose. And again, if that gets you started on your investing journey, then by God, do it, right? So I don't know if that adds any value to you, brother, but that's my opinion on that.
It does. And are you doing anything with your units, like if you're on the individual ones like with Section 8? Because I don't know if you guys have seen
Section 8's very powerful. Section 8, when I had, you know, I had 500 houses in Denver at one time. I had 200 in Memphis. Oh my God, don't do Memphis. And I had like 1,300 here in Florida. And I did Section 8 back then. They could be complete pieces of crap and tear the place up and not pay even the little minuscule amounts they paid and stay in the program. That is no longer the case. If they screw up, they're out of the program. So it's much better than it used to be. They call it housing in some markets. And yes, I have some C-class assets like in Atlanta that we absolutely take housings, i.e. Section 8. And it's great because, you know, you're guaranteed the rent, but you want to qualify them just like you would any other resident. You want to get deposits just like you would any other resident, and you want to inspect and stay on top of them just like you would any other resident. It's not like, oh, my work here is done once you put one of these people in. But no, it's a much better program than it ever was, Jamie.
It is.
Any other questions, guys? Feel free to pipe in if you want. Again, guys, if you're interested in this at all, get your butt to my boot camp. It's freaking $97. Tell me your excuse, okay? And I don't sell anything there. There's no excuse. I'm serious. If you're serious,
What was your Memphis experience?
what was my Memphis? Oh my God. I don't even want to fly over Memphis airspace. I feel like my IQ drops if I fly over Memphis airspace. I had a horrible experience there, okay? Please do not invest there. And if you already do, if you know the market, you know what I'm talking about. There's a whole nother level of ignorant. Okay. And this is not, this is not a racial thing. My wife was black. I'm colorblind. This is a ignorance thing. Here's a great example. I lived in Denver and there's 2 million people in Denver. Okay. There's only 500,000 in Memphis. In Denver in the mornings, you might have 1 or 2 accidents. Okay. In Memphis, every freaking morning, there were 18 to 20. That's what we call a clue. Okay. I bought houses in Memphis for $1,500, 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $3,500, $5,000. I regret every single one of them. There you go. Yeah.
There you go, Laura.
I'm there at my house and they're drywalling the ceiling and all of a sudden shots everywhere. I mean, don't get me started. Anyway.
What part of Memphis is that? Are you Memphis, Tennessee? We got like 4 in Memphis.
I'm sorry, what?
What state is it? Memphis what?
Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee. I love the rest of the state. I've got a beautiful 145 unit asset in Nashville. Gorgeous. I like Cookeville. I like Clarksville. I like the other half of the state, but stay the hell out of Memphis. That's my 2 cents.
I'm here since 1992. I've been doing real estate since 2002. I help a lot of investors. I cast out how he buy like 10,000 like you. He went up 1,000%, so he cast out over 100,000. So I did a lot of cast out for them. One of my investors owned 50 houses that bought it for me, and I help them. Everybody, not for everybody. Not area.
Listen. If you like it, that's fantastic. But I'm going to tell you that I had very bad experience there. Now, I will tell you, when I owned 200 houses there, they hadn't done the Bankruptcy Reformation Act yet. And back then, they could file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So if you started an eviction, they would get 10 letters from an attorney that said, we can stop your eviction with a wage earner. That's what they called it, a wage earner. It was a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And it took us almost a year to get people out. So it's not that bad anymore, okay? But there's lower hanging fruit elsewhere. Why would you go through that brain damage, the stress, the challenges with tenants that you're going to have there, the crime there is crazy. It's just not worth it. Life's too short. I will tell you, I teach this at the boot camp. There's 4 different classes of assets. There's A, B, C, and D classes of assets. And A is the brand new stuff. D is the hood. Stay out of the hood. Ask me how I know. Okay. I've had properties where they cut a hole. I bought a whole block in Denver that was a D area. They cut a hole in the front door to pass the crack through. People killed in it, behind it, around it. They put concrete pilings at the end of the street to slow down the drug traffic. Not stop it, just slow it down a little bit. You don't need that brain damage. Life's too short. That will slow down your acquisitions. So what I like to buy is B properties in A areas, C properties in B areas that I can improve and push up. Okay. I probably have time for one more question, guys, because then I got to go get myself ready.
Go for it. She's been waiting. Go ahead.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you. I'm back from fixing frozen pipes and a furnace that decided not to work because I'm in Ohio and it's frigid. So my question is, this is my first, it's a duplex. I'm ready to upgrade more units, still one roof. But
Awesome.
do you think priority should be on holding? So finding a way to finance the next and keeping this one, or what feels more
Yes,
comfortable
absolutely.
to me is
I get people that say, hey,
1031.
yeah, I get people that say, I regret just about every property I've ever sold, Jennifer. Laura. In fact, my first interview was with a billionaire, and I got this from him, and he's owned like 60,000 units, I think. It's my first interview. This is really funny. I forgot to hit the record button. I'm an hour in. I'm like, oh shit. And he's a really cool guy. His name is Albert Barris, and he's in Ohio, actually. He's in Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan. But I have a bunch of assets in Ohio. I've got assets in Columbus, Cincinnati, wealthy part of Dayton. And I love Ohio, by the way. But I tell people, there's like, hey, I got $100,000. What should I buy? Or should I sell my single family houses or whatever to buy this? And my answer is always no, because you can raise money for these things. And I'll teach you how to do that. I don't know about you, but I'll take 20, 30, 40, 50% of something over 100% of nothing any day. Keep your powder dry, keep your assets that are cash flowing, go raise the money for these deals. You're going to go further, faster. Now, of course, you don't dabble. You got to learn this business before you take other people's money. But that's my advice to you, Laura. I would not sell. I would keep. And if it's a nice asset, unless the area is starting to go down,
The
like I
area
had a
is
beautiful
great, but
asset.
what if you're dealing with an 1800s house? I feel like I'm staring down the barrel of a lot of stuff going
Okay, well,
wrong.
that's a subjective thing, and if you're going to have problems come up, then that may be a different answer. But
Okay.
if you've got a nice asset in an area that's not going down, I absolutely wouldn't sell it. That's
Got
my
it.
2 cents.
Bootcamp answer, bootcamp question. Guys can sign it up on one of those links, and it's gonna be the 25th.
Yeah,
and
so
26th.
rodslinks.com has my bootcamp site at the top and my goal setting at the bottom. Rod's Bootcamp is the bootcamp site. By the way, go to the bottom of my bootcamp site and see what hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have said about my events. Okay, they'll sell you on it. But again, you're gonna love it. I hope you guys got some value out of this. And it's a pleasure to meet all of you. And by the way, if you ping me on any social media, I answer every question. So don't hesitate to reach out. Laura, if you've got more questions, or any of you guys, Jamie, don't hesitate to reach out. It's a pleasure to meet you all. And thank you for the opportunity to hopefully add some value here.
Thank
Take
you,
care,
Rod.
guys. I got to run. All right, guys. Take care.
We're
Thanks.
gonna open
See you
up
later.
and
Remember, use the code Kim to get that 97 price.
use the code
That's
Kim
right.
to get the $97.
All right.
And thank you, Rod.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye now.